5, 4, 3, 2.
Tier 1 performance.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of In and Out Talks. I am here with the one and only Nick Phan. Nick, man, appreciate you joining us here on behalf of Tier 1 Performance. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, of course.
Usually we take this time in the beginning to go ahead and introduce yourself, where you're from, what got you into baseball, and kind of like how you went from there into your high school career.
All right, yeah. So my name's Nick Phan. I grew up in Houston in the Meyerland area.
Okay.
I played at Westbury Little League.
Yeah.
I started baseball probably when I was 5 years old, really young, as most people do.
Always loved it?
Yeah, always loved it.
Was that your only sport that you played, or did you play multiple growing up?
I played multiple sports. I played basketball. I wasn't very good at basketball.
But we all love it, yeah.
Yeah. I played soccer. I couldn't get up and down the field very well. Stamina was not my thing.
But baseball was your one true love, your one true sport. Did you flourish in it at an early age, or you just loved the sport, then you kind of got good?
I was not the best until, I don't know, maybe I probably got better at like 11 or 12 once I started taking lessons.
Okay.
I think that's when I started to, hit
And
a lot better.
what position did you play?
When I was really young, I played second base, and then I moved to the outfield around middle school.
Okay.
I played some shortstop, some catcher. I mean, I kind of played all over.
And you were righty-righty?
Righty, yeah.
Yeah. Standard typical. I'm the same. I dominated righty. I could hit a little lefty, little switch, but neither here nor there. But so you got to high school. Which high school did you go to? St. Thomas?
St. Thomas High School.
St. Thomas High School? Yep. Shout out St. Thomas High School. We did some work for them and their weightlifting programs. It was a great time. Great group of guys. You were part of that era with Mitch's brother, Phil, right?
That's right.
Are you all the same age?
Philip was a year younger than
Phil's
me.
a year younger. Okay, so you're his senior. So he looked up to you in a
Yeah,
sense.
sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he'll tell you that.
Yeah. I'm sure he will. So walk me through your high school career. What was that like, starting from a freshman? Because St. Thomas is a private school.
Right.
So did you, were you always going to go to St. Thomas? Were you always planning on it? Did you get a scholarship? How did that come about?
Yeah, my mom really wanted me to go to St. Thomas.
Okay.
I'm not sure why, but I kind of just
ended up working out great.
Yeah, I ended up working out. I visited there, and I liked the brotherhood, and ended up going there.
Sounded like a high school recruiting visit, like almost like college, huh?
Kind of, yeah.
All right. Did you have to test to get in there? How does it work getting into private school, or they just fill out a form?
No, I think my grades were good enough. Yeah.
Because they don't just accept anybody now.
Oh, really?
I mean, at least as far as I'm concerned.
I don't remember.
It's a vetted process.
Yeah, it's a very vetted process. Yeah, I was about to say, like Mitch went through it because Mitch went there for a year or two.
I barely got in, yeah.
Yeah, he had no issues. Nick had no issues. Mitch barely got in.
Just because my dad worked there, yeah.
Politically corrupt. But okay, so then you got in, and then you went straight to the baseball program.
Actually, I played football my freshman year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I played football first.
Okay, how's that?
It was good. I hadn't ever played football before, but I kind of wanted to play, and I didn't think I would play much. And my mom didn't think I was going to play much, so she was like, "Yeah, sure, just go out there, and I'll watch you on the bench." But
how'd you do?
I didn't even know like what position to play. So at practice, I was like, "Coach, like where should I go?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Just go to running back." And
okay.
I was a hard worker, and I just I was really coachable. So I think after the first game, we were up by a lot, and they just put me in, and my first run, I broke it off for like 50 yards, and then I started for the rest of the year on the freshman team.
So you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I did enjoy it.
And then you still cold stone Austin quit after your freshman year?
I played my sophomore year.
Okay.
But then, I don't know, it was just too exhausting. We moved practices to after school, and we were on turf, and it was so hot.
It was brutal?
It was just brutal. So after that, I was like,
you'd rather lose the 10 pounds of pads and pick up a glove.
Exactly.
Go out there and do that. All right.
Yeah.
So you played under, who'd you play under at St. Thomas for baseball?
Ryan Lusto.
How did he, is that your boy?
Oh, yeah, it's my boy.
How's it working for him under his program?
Yeah, baseball? He had a pretty successful time after Coach Biggio. So
Yeah.
we were pretty good. My junior year, I think we started off like 24-0-1.
Oh wow.
And so we were ranked at some point, and they were really good. And that team actually didn't win anything, but the next year when I was a senior, we were not as didn't have as much talent, but we ended up winning it all. So
that's incredible. That is because that's taps, right?
yes, taps.
Yeah, it's not no joke for most people. So going into your high school career, what made you? I guess at what point? What made you realize, hey, I want to go play college baseball?
Yeah, I always said growing up that, I'll do baseball as long as I, continue to have fun and it's not getting in the way of, the rest of my life. Like I didn't want to be someone who played until they're like 28, but had no prospects of making it to the majors or something like that.
Yeah, but you enjoyed the process, you enjoyed the comfortability, you joined the competition.
Right.
Nice getaway, but also like there was reward to reap from it, right?
Right, exactly.
So like, where did you end up committing to?
I went to St. Edward's, is the Division II college in Austin.
St. Edward's, yeah, another private school. You're private it all the way out.
Yeah, it just happened to work out that way. I don't know how, but
How'd they end up seeing you?
So I played for a select team called Kyle Chapman.
Oh, Kyle Chapman. Yes.
Yeah.
We are all very familiar with Kyle Chapman. Yeah, our rivals, Houston Heat's rivals for sure. Okay, but go ahead. Kyle Chapman, they saw you multiple times, or did they see you one time?
Yeah, so I don't even think they ever saw me. I had a really, really good summer going up to my junior year.
Okay.
But our team just was not that great, so we didn't have a lot of coaches coming out to look at us, and my head coach just said, hey, like I think you're good enough to go play at college, so let me just reach out to some of my contacts, and one of them was St. Edward's, and they
so
gave me a call.
word to mouth, basically.
Yeah, word of mouth.
And I think a lot of people don't realize, especially back then and still now, like a lot of word to mouth is recruiting is done that way. Like, hey, I've heard of this kid, or if somebody's got contacts or connections, will come in and they'll be like, hey, I got this guy. And, that person or that coach will be like, well, I know I trust your word because, probably at some point we played together, or we've conversed and we know a lot of guys. So, yeah, that happens a lot, especially with commitments. And then, you go out there and you're good enough to like, yeah, if he says you're coming here, come on in. I'll see him in the fall. If it doesn't work out, whatever. If it does, great. Like that type of situation. So the coaches, you never even met the coaches till you got to campus?
Right, they gave me a call. And they're like, hey, we got your number from, Coach Rutledge, and then they had me come out there, just
camp?
practice with them, and then after the practice, they said, yeah, like.
Okay, so when you went to that practice, what did they have you do?
I basically just practiced with the team, so they gave me a buddy to follow around, and I just practiced as if I was part of the team.
In the fall on a visit, or is this like over the summer?
It was in the fall.
On the fall, okay. So then you just basically had a chauffeur in there showing you the ropes.
Basically.
Yeah. So like in terms of the practice, like how'd you feel going up with those college guys?
It felt interesting because there was a bunch of them there. Like St. Edward's team is notorious for having a ginormous team. We had, I don't know, maybe at most like up to 60 people at one point, and when I was there, so there's a lot of people, a lot of personalities, and they're all just really cool, nice people.
Were you the only recruit there as well?
What was that?
Were you the only recruit there as well?
Yeah, I was the only recruit there.
Yeah,
at the time.
like putting you in the competition. Did you have to hit off anybody?
No, we just did BP, and then if they were gonna do inter squad that day, then I would have done it, but they didn't change any practice or anything, just because I was there.
Did you spend the night there, or
no, just there for the day?
Practice. They used you as a workhorse and sent you back home.
That's right.
Did they offer you, or did they like get in contact with you weeks later, or did they offer you on the spot, or?
Right after practice, we sat down and he was like, "Hey, we'd love for you to come here." And so at that time I wasn't looking anywhere else, so I was like, "Yeah, that's fine."
So it was like first come first serve for you. So like after that, you're like, "Hey, I'm going to St. Edward's. That's a done deal."
Yeah,
was that like pretty much easy stress after that?
Yeah, there was a small Division III college that had reached out that I went to go look at too. I can't even remember what the name was, but I did not want to go to the middle. It was in Tennessee. It was like some really small.
Was academics also like a big importance of like why you went to St. Edward's, or was it just like I would have taken anybody that like came to me?
Academics was definitely part of it. I wanted to go to a school that had good academics too.
Right.
definitely really important to me.
So like a JUCO, I would say was probably not
Right.
in your realm for you.
Right.
And I understand that because I also, for me, maybe not in a sense of like how important academics is to me, but more in a sense that like I felt like I had this dream of me always going to a 4-year college and playing for a 4-year college. So for me, it was like make or break. Not that I'm saying that JUCO is not the only way. And in fact, JUCO has come so far. I would say that it's more common now than it is for us than what we did. But I mean, yeah, for me, it was kind of like make or break. I told my dad, I was like, I'm not going to a JUCO. Like I'm going to my 4-year school or I'm not. And then if I don't make my goal, I was probably going to go to like, you know, A&M and go to an engineering school or something like that.
Right.
You know, to me, I had donated so much. And if I didn't get the reward that I wanted, it wasn't worth putting more effort for that. And I'm glad I stuck with that decision. I realize that is not everyone's decision.
Yeah.
And it's not, but it should be a factor. And where you go to school is a huge factor because that is a 4-year commitment, at least in a financial state.
Right.
If you don't make it in baseball, right?
Right.
So when you went to St. Edward's, how much did you like the school? How did it fit in with you? Like what kind of environment did you find yourself in when you went to college?
Yeah, it's a pretty small college. I think there's only about 5,000 people throughout the whole college.
And you thrived in that environment?
Yeah, I did like that. I think I would have done well in a big college too, but I did like the smaller classes. I think the baseball team, like I said, was 60 people, so
You knew everybody
it made a
everywhere.
big portion of the college. So
Yeah. Did you like were y'all a pretty close-knit group of guys too? Like the camaraderie was great. Everything was great.
Yeah.
Was it all academic weapons? Like I know you can't be dumb going to that school.
Right.
So everyone's on top of their stuff. What'd you major in?
I majored in math.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mathematics. Oh wow.
Yes.
So all the way up to what's the hardest math class you ever took?
I can't even remember what the classes were called, but I remember my freshman year I took calculus 3.
It's disgusting. I mean, I'm an engineer and I took Cal 4 and I thought that's theoretical math. So like that wasn't even, we lost numbers in that sense. So that is insane. But as a freshman, wow, that is pretty tough. But your hardest class, you can't remember what the name of it was or?
No, I actually didn't think my math classes were too difficult. It was, I think my
That's
hardest.
a subtle brag for most. It's a subtle brag for most. Okay, so what'd you end up doing with that degree?
I'm an actuary.
Okay.
Yeah, so
for those that don't know what an actuary is, can you kind of dive into what that actually is?
yeah, so anything that needs a future unknown financial obligation, that's when you need an actuary. We are risk managers, so specifically what I do is that I work in the healthcare space. So any company that offers benefits, medical, dental, vision, they have to set budgets for those
Correct.
in the following year. So we help set those budgets, and we help consult on those benefits, and we, yeah,
Oh wow, and you specialize in that only in health and benefits?
health and benefits.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
But you could theoretically be used in almost every aspect.
Yeah, there are different types of actuaries. There are pension actuaries or retirement
Do
actuaries.
you need like certifications to be those things, or is
You
it
do.
kind of like picking like a specialty, like a law degree or a medical degree?
Yeah, so you do need to take tests. So I had to take 10 tests
Oh, wow.
on my own time to get my certification. So
Oh wow.
yeah, the first 7, you take 7, and then you do like this few projects, and you get what's called your ASA, and then a lot of people can stop there. You keep going. I took 3 more tests, and then again did another project or 2. And
How long does it take for each test? Like, are you preparing for each test, or is it like, does it take a certain amount of time to prep for each one? Are they each individual, or is it roughly the same?
So the general rule of thumb is you need to study 100 hours for each hour of exam.
Oh, wow.
So most exams are 3 to 5 hours, so you're studying about 300 to 500 hours.
Oh wow. So
Yeah.
you've done your homework.
Yeah.
And do you enjoy it? Do you like it, or is it a good payout? I mean, you can be completely honest with us.
Yeah, I do like it. It
Okay.
definitely was worth it. And
Is it a challenge? Is it like something that challenges you every day?
yeah, it's something that you're using your brain every day, and you're not going to have too many boring days.
Do you think it was a career path that baseball could have led you to, that only baseball led you to, or is it something that you thought you always were going to do or go down this path?
So a lot of people don't know what actuaries are growing up, but my family, my mom worked with a lot of actuaries. She's also in the industry, so I knew what it was from a young age, and I was always good at math, and I know that actuaries are generally satisfied with their careers. So from a young age, even though I didn't know what it was at the time, I said maybe this is what I want to do, and I kind of never pivoted from that path.
So is it something to be an actuary? Do you just need the certification, or do you need that degree as well, or does the degree help, or does it
The
prepare you?
degree helps. There are colleges like UT who has specific actuarial programs, and so
wow.
you can actually major in math with a actuarial focus.
Okay.
But St. Edward's doesn't have that, so I had to do a lot of it outside on my own time.
Oh wow, that's actually awesome. So when you were playing baseball, how much time? Because you're a very I would say disciplined student athlete. So how much time would you set aside, to work on baseball and to work on academics? Did either of them outweigh another, or did you have to sacrifice your social life as well? Like, how did you maintain that balance, being such a very good student as well as a very good athlete?
Yeah, I would say the social life definitely took a hit when I was studying for my exams, especially as the time got closer to taking those exams.
Right.
I would basically not do anything else, which looking back, I think I would have tried to have a little bit more balance. But now that I've completed all my exams, I don't have to study as much, and I can have more of a social life now.
It's funny that you say that, because when I was in college, I would say like experimenting, like if I focused really hard in sports, one area of those three lives were like really like lacking. Like I could socialize and party, and I could be great at baseball, but my academics are slipping. Or I could be focused in baseball and academics and pretty much have no social life. Or I can do academics and social life, and then lose my scholarship by not playing baseball. Like it's either or. They all kind of like, if I didn't give enough attention of each one, like they were gonna fall. And I think you had to prioritize what you really favored. And for you, it seemed like you favored academics, athletics, and then social was on the background, which is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, most would say it's probably more on the track to success. Anyway, and then for me, like I knew that if I was teetering here and I was going to sacrifice something, I would sacrifice my social life, especially during the season, because I'm pouring everything into baseball. And then, if I don't pass, then I'm not playing baseball. So, and the whole point of me being there was for baseball. So it's kind of interesting seeing it from mostly an academic perspective and an athletic perspective. But we both agreed that we were sacrificing the social life for those. And I think we both know guys that have chosen the social life over either of the two aspects, and you've seen them fall on the wayside. Right. I got a question in the back for Mitch. No, just playing.
I like the social life.
Mitch loved the social life. He was great at it.
The other two definitely plummeted.
Yeah. It was all good. So, now that you're what else do you do that besides being an actuary? What else do you do? Are you still involved with baseball in your life?
Yes, I am. I actually started coaching this 10U select team in January of this year.
10U selecting? Are y'all AA, AAA, or do y'all play USSSA? I forget. There's different leagues.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you know about that. I didn't know that they had different leagues when I started. And that was not something that
No, it's not. There's so many different nouns. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't do that growing up. It was just one league, I guess, and we all played.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's AA, AAA, and majors now. And we started as a AA team.
Okay.
And we ended up getting promoted to AAA by the end of the season.
So, AAA. So you won a couple.
Yeah.
You got a couple. Do y'all do rings, or they do the medals?
We have 4 rings, and I'm very proud of them.
Bling, absolutely. Yeah. Wake up and we piss excellence. So, what are some of the things that you've learned, working with these kids?
Yeah, so I'll say I don't want to put all kids that are 10 years old into this one bucket of groups, since I've,
Right.
I don't want these 10 U's to represent everybody else, but from what I've learned is that at least this group, they're all from the Spring Branch area.
Okay.
I think they all come from pretty good background, and so their problems are probably different from other kids' problems. But the biggest thing that me and my other coach were working on with these kids is that how to react to failure. We had a good group of kids, maybe half of them, that even some of our best players, whenever they would strike out or they would just implode.
Yeah.
And we have to remind them that
it's okay.
It's okay to fail.
Yeah. No, I tell my kids all the time. I was like, dude, who cares?
Yeah.
I was like, am I even yelling at you? I was like, I'm in charge of whether you play or not. I was like, I'm not even expect you to strike out. And at that point, they're kind of softening up their tears, and you're just like, Like, no one cares. I was like, because you know what? I know a lot of y'all struck out last tournament, but I can't name individually who did what.
Yeah.
Why? Because, like, it's not that important.
Right.
But it's like the world to the 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you would think you just struck out in the World Series, like, game 6 for, like, the win and probably a $20 million signing bonus. But in reality, you know, you struck out in this 10U tournament that no one cares that you're supposed to learn and develop from. And
Right.
obviously, and I think a lot of parents... not speaking for most parents out there, but I know there are some parents that put all that pressure on their kid because they're all about the win factor. But like when you're that age, dude, you still need to fall in love with the game.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not falling in love with the game, by the time you get 14, burnt out, or
Right.
you're not going to be driven to make it.
Right.
So like, do you work with these kids individually as well, or do you work with them only in a team setting?
Just in a team setting.
How many times do y'all practice a week?
Practice 2 times a week, so it's Monday and Wednesday at 5 o'clock.
How long do y'all go for?
A couple hours, 1 hour on the field, 1 hour in the cages. I try to make it to once a week. It was hard to commit to 2 times a week with just my job.
Completely understand. Working a full-time job, dedicating your life to kids when you don't have kids of your own. You know, it's a commitment for sure.
Yeah. Someone call that a charity.
But if you get paid, it's different. Yeah. I call it passion, development. I call it term performance.
Yeah. What's the name of your team?
They're the Spring Branch Bombers.
So y'all, Spring Branch Bombers. Do y'all drop bombs?
One kid does.
Heavily recruited kid. So how was it? How do you end up creating that camaraderie or that chemistry with your team? Because I think everyone knows that if you give a kid too much, they'll kind of take it a mile. How do you get that controlled environment where they're still learning, still having fun, but it's not just like running rampant like daycare?
Yeah. So I coach with another guy. His name's Cass and Peter. He played at UT.
Okay.
So we try to do. I don't think we tried to do this. It kind of naturally happened. But good cop, bad cop. So
yeah.
Sometimes I try to be, the good cop. He tries to be the bad cop, and then we switch if
reverse
we need
roles.
to.
Yeah, keep them guessing.
So I try to keep it light and fun. But when the kids just aren't listening, then I flip a switch and have to use my
your adult voice.
My adult voice,
Yeah.
and then they're like, okay, well we need to focus now. And
yeah. Have you figured out that that you're gonna stay with these kids, or are you gonna stay with these kids throughout their development, or are you gonna only do 10U? How are you gonna continue your coaching career?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stay with these kids next year. They're gonna be 11. The thing is that I don't know if everyone is gonna come back. So
okay. Did you form this team by yourself, or was
No.
it formed by the parents?
It was formed by the parents. They actually started it last year.
Okay.
And they, I think, won maybe 4 or 5 games last year, and it just did not do well.
Mm-hmm.
So they brought in Caston, and Caston asked me to coach, and then we did a lot better this year.
So, oh yeah. I mean, if you went from AA to AAA, it kind of proves that your team as a whole is getting better. So you guys should be, at least coming back, I would say.
Right. Yeah.
And then, what are some of the things that are the more common issues you run into for kids fundamentally?
Fundamentally, I would say pitching wise is probably the hardest thing, at least for our team.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our pitchers, their mechanics were not great. We had maybe 2 pitchers that had really, really refined mechanics, but the rest of them are kind of just throwing up there. And I guess that can be expected since they just started throwing it or pitching at 9 years old.
Yeah.
So that's something that is hard to come by, a really, good pitcher that you can rely on, that you can throw out there and get the same results.
Do you kind of just tell your guys hey, we love that you guys are pitching, but you need to take lessons outside of this and learn how to dial in that pitch because you guys don't have enough time.
Right. We do not have time to work with them one-on-one. We try to, but it's just...
Yeah, it's impossible because your team practice for team dynamics, team stuff, and individualized stuff is kind of what you need to do on your own. And so that kind of brings it to my next question. So when you were an aspiring student athlete trying to make it to the next level, kind of what did you do on your own?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get lessons from an ex-major league player. His name was Mark Quinn.
Okay.
I started taking lessons from him maybe around 11 or 12, and that's kind of when my hitting took a turn, and I started hitting a lot better. He refined my mechanics, helped me learn how to use my body in a better way, and started hitting for more power and more contact. And
How long did you work with him for?
Probably up until my sophomore year of high school.
But you started.
I started 11 or 12.
Okay, so like really just
So-
came a long way, consistency with it. And then when you were working at home, like how many hours were you putting in baseball?
Yeah, so I was at a one time in my career, I was on 3 different teams at the same time.
Okay.
So I was going from practices to games, and it was just baseball all the time. And I think at that point I almost got burnt out, so I had to bring
Dial
it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So
That was kind of so you were the kind of guy that kind of thrived because you were constantly playing,
I was constantly playing baseball.
constantly playing, no matter the season, no matter what, baseball.
Right.
So when you did finally, like come into your own kind of like as a player, when did you kind of get established as like you're confident, you're like, nah, I'm kind of like a little bit of cut above the rest. When did you realize that?
Probably in middle school. I grew a little faster than everyone else, so I was this height in the 8th grade.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and
Prospect.
yeah, so I really thought I was going to be much taller than this in my adult life, but I never got that second growth spurt. So a lot of people started catching up to me physically as we got older, and I feel like I peaked maybe freshman or sophomore year because that's when I physically peaked in terms of the rest of everyone else.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. That is nice. I mean, everyone has a different journey. Everyone has a different story. I mean, yours is different from Phil's. Phil's is different from Mitch's. Mitch's is different from mine. Everyone has their own different story. But if you could give, a younger player or maybe a kid who wants to go play college or a high school kid trying to get recruited, what would your piece of advice be?
Yeah, I would make sure if they're like young, if I was talking to my 10-year-old kids, don't take it too seriously. You need to be learning how to love the game, learn how to play the game the right way, and then obviously just work really hard and focus on getting better. But I don't want them to be burnt out too early on,
Correct.
right? So
Exactly. And then for the parents out there, what piece of advice would you give for them?
parents need to chill.
That's a recurring theme. Yeah, that's a recurring theme. Yeah. So parents, take it cool down. And then last question, give me a favorite memory of yours playing for St. Edward's baseball.
St. Edward's baseball?
Yeah.
Can I do St. Thomas baseball?
Sure.
My favorite memory of St. Thomas baseball is when we won it the championship in my senior year.
Stay. Yeah.
Weaverville, Texas.
Weaverville, Texas. Yeah, exactly. I remember the first game of playoffs. We had one of our pitchers on the mound, and it was the first inning. And I think there was a guy on first and second, and there was this line drive hit in the gap. I was in left field, and for some reason, every time I'd like try to make a dapping play, I would always get to the ball, and then I'd like touch it with my glove, and I could never like finish it. Yeah. My success rate was not great, but something about the adrenaline or something about that game, I like ran and I like Superman dove and then caught it.
Yeah.
And then
it was just huge tie to the moment.
Huge momentum shift, and then we ended up blowing them out. But
Absolutely. That was the starting game. Yeah. That's great. Everyone loves those. Well, Nick, man, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you got somewhere to be. Please come back next time for us. We can do this again. And thank you, man. Appreciate
yeah,
it.
of course. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
5, 4, 3, 2,